The film opens in Afghanistan, where war has raged for years, and American soldiers are fighting in a harsh and complex environment amidst rugged mountains and devastated villages, where it's impossible to distinguish enemy from civilian. The sounds of aircraft, gunfire, and constant anxiety permeate the scene from the very first moment. We meet U.S. Sergeant John Kenley, a seasoned military team leader, a quiet, stern man who doesn't talk much, but who clearly carries within him the weariness of war. John doesn't speak much about himself, but he comes across as someone who relies on order and discipline and believes that following orders is the only way to survive. A new Afghan translator named Ahmad is assigned to the team. From the very first moment, the difference between the two men is apparent. John is a trained, armed American, backed by a full army, while Ahmad is almost entirely unarmed, caught between two sides and simply trying to survive. Their relationship is initially strained. John doesn't fully trust him and treats him merely as a translator. During the initial missions, Ahmed begins to demonstrate his intelligence and vigilance. He notices small details that the soldiers overlook, warns them of dangerous areas, and corrects faulty intelligence. At one point, he saves the team from a potential ambush, and it is then that John begins to see him differently for the first time. The team sets out on a dangerous reconnaissance mission into a remote valley suspected of harboring Taliban weapons caches. Tension rises, silence hangs heavy, and the soldiers move with extreme caution. Ahmed seems uneasy, sensing something is amiss, but it's too late. Suddenly, the ambush explodes. The Taliban attack from all sides, bullets fly, soldiers fall one by one. Chaos reigns, communication is lost, and John is critically wounded and unable to move. The team is almost wiped out within minutes. The battle ends, the Taliban withdraw, and everyone believes John is dead. But Ahmed returns to him, finding him barely alive. This is where the film's most significant turning point begins. Ahmed decides not to leave him, even though he knows the Taliban will return to search for any survivors. Ahmed drags the wounded John through the mountains, hiding him among the rocks, treating him with rudimentary means, risking his life with every step. We witness intense physical and psychological suffering, hunger, thirst, constant fear, and a long silence broken only by their labored breathing. During this arduous journey, the relationship between the two men changes. John, despite his vulnerability, realizes that his life now rests entirely in Ahmed's hands. And Ahmed, despite his fear, refuses to abandon him. This is not a mission, but an unwritten human pact. After days of hell, Ahmed reaches a point close to the American forces. John is rescued at the last minute and airlifted by medical plane. Ahmed watches from afar, then disappears, returning to his life of peril. John wakes up in the United States, surrounded by his family, hailed as a hero, receiving thanks and honors. But he feels a profound emptiness within. Memories of Ahmed haunt him, and images of the harrowing journey never leave him. John begins asking about Ahmed, only to discover the shocking truth. Ahmed was not evacuated, his name was not included in any protection program, and he became wanted by the Taliban for cooperating with U.S. forces. John tries to navigate official channels, contacting the military officials and humanitarian programs, but he's met with red tape and rejection. Everyone appreciates his service, but no one is willing to save a single translator. The guilt grows. John cannot sleep. Nightmares haunt him, and he comes to one conclusion. If he does not return himself to save Ahmed, he will be complicit in his death. John decides to return to Afghanistan unofficially. Using a false name, he contacts a private military contractor who helps him in exchange for money. This time, there's no army, no orders, just one man and an old promise. Upon his arrival, he faces a harsher reality. The Taliban control vast areas, fear fills people's eyes, and everyone could be an informant. John moves with extreme caution and is nearly killed more than once. But time is not on their side. The Taliban discover their location and begin a brutal manhunt. Escape through the mountains, gunfire, falls, intense tension, and limited ammunition. John leads the group with all his experience. He tries to protect Ahmed and his family as danger draws ever closer. In a moment of despair, the end seems near. At the last moment, John manages to call for air support. American planes intervene, the engagement turns into a nightmare, and they are rescued with great difficulty. Everyone arrives at a safe base, and Ahmed and his family are evacuated from Afghanistan. John keeps his promise and rescues the man who saved his life. The film concludes on a somber note. A silent text makes it clear that Ahmed was one of the lucky few, while hundreds of other translators were left behind, some killed and some still being hunted to this day. The story isn't just about war. It's about commitment, about promises, about humanity emerging in the most brutal of places. The film leaves the viewer with a moral question. Does your duty end when the war ends? Or does the debt of humanity endure forever?